Welcome back to Perks Recap. We're back at it again with Al. This is a podcast of our favorite guitar players of all time, our top 10. This is part two. We had a part one, and then we had all sorts of technical problems, and literally it's been a week. It's a week later from part two to part one. If you watched or listened to the part one version, you saw us or heard us have the reaction to Ozzy Osbourne's death. We got that while we were on the air last week while we were recording. And so that's why it's a week later and you're just now getting this podcast because then after that, there was all kinds of technical problems. But we're here for part two. It is just our number two guitar players, our number one guitar player. We're going to get some honorable mentions in there as well. Al, how you doing?
Great, man. Great. Good to be back with you. Technical difficulties suck, but I never mind talking to you and talking about guitar players. So no hardship at all doing this again.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I just wanted to provide that context for anybody listening. The fact that we got these because I didn't release the first part, even though it's been done for a week, because I didn't want to release the first part without the second part.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's why if you listen to it and we're like shocked over Ozzy Osbourne's death, it's because it was last week. Anyway, let's get into it. We
Let
left off where you mentioned your number three. We both mentioned that our number threes were already taken. We both already did those,
yes.
and then number two is where we left off. And I was going first the whole time, so I'm going to continue to go first and go with Gary Moore as my number two guitar player. He's probably not on any lists or your list, but he's really, I would say, early on in my reaction journey when I first started doing reactions. The guy that I relied on a lot was a guy named Steve from England. He was a big Gary Moore fan, and Gary Moore was his everything and his favorite guitar player of all time. He also, like you, is a guitar teacher.
Oh, I didn't know that, Craig.
Oh yeah, he's a guitar teacher.
Oh,
Yeah.
no wonder he has such good taste. That's all. I love it.
Yes. So he got me hooked. I've done a lot of Gary Moore reactions. His solos are something to behold, in my opinion, and he plays with a ton of emotion. And another unfortunately early untimely passing, but we got the music to remember him by, and he left a lot and very impressive.
Yeah, man. No, he was one of my honorable mentions for sure. I'm a big Gary Moore fan. Just didn't make my top 10, but I love that he's your number two. He is awesome. Was awesome. I mean, he died at 58 years old, and he had a decent run, but still way too soon. And he had the Thin Lizzy days. He had his blues days. He did a whole bunch of different stuff along the way, and just a versatile and every solo the guy took, you felt in the bottom of your spine. Like he's just something else, man. Still Got the Blues is one of my favorite blues songs of all time. Um,
Absolutely. That's the one that hooked me. When I
yeah,
heard
that
that one, I was like, "Oh, this guy! I gotta dive deeper into this guy."
I remember hearing that on the radio back when radio still played good music, which
Right?
and people much younger than us probably don't understand that used to happen. But there was a time when that a song like that actually got played on the radio, and I remember hearing it, and I didn't know who Gary Moore was. I knew who Thin Lizzy was, but I didn't know that he was in Thin Lizzy at that point. That was a later discovery for me. So I heard Still Got the Blues and I lost my mind. And I said, I got to figure out who this guy is. And Gary Moore, it turned out to be Gary Moore. And I became a huge fan right then.
Yeah. Yep. Like we both said, the solos you could feel his solos.
Big time. And he had chops. Like he can keep almost any guitar lover happy because he had chops to hang with some of the best in the chops departments. I mean, there's a few guys that are going to outclass him, but not many. He had the feel to grab people that don't like too many notes. And Sam was definitely one of those guys. He did not like fast guitar, like Gary Moore was as fast as he liked to go.
Oh,
And
Steve. Yeah, Steve. Yep.
or Steve, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Sam Blevin, but
Yep.
Yeah, he did not like fast guys. Anytime I threw a fast guitar player up there, he did not enjoy it. But and I respect that. I mean, he had great taste, and I respect his opinions. And Gary Moore could hang with a lot of those guys with chops, but he still appealed to the guys that like taste. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yep. I've done a bunch of reactions to him, and every single one I came away just liking him even more. And actually, it's been a little while since I've done one, so I should probably get on another Gary Moore one soon. So I just made that decision. Stay tuned to the Perks Music Reaction Recap channel, and I'm gonna have a Gary Moore one very soon here.
I love it, and I will watch anything that you react to from Gary Moore. I love him, and this whole exercise has given me has put me on a bender of guitar players that I've loved and appreciate, and had to go back and listen to more after talking about them. And Gary Moore is going to be near the top of the list for that. That's freaking awesome.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, that's my number two.
All right. Well, you had a number two that almost nobody else is going to have number two, and so do I. And it's funny that we both did that. And I consider this guy to at 40, I believe I looked it up before, now I forget, but he's either I think he's 46 years old. To me, and somebody can make a case if they want to, and I'll be open minded and listen. But to me, he is already the best slide guitar player of all time, and he surpassed his uncle, one of his. I don't know if he's technically his uncle, but one of the guys from the Allman Brothers band, and his dad was in the Allman Brothers band in the glory days of the Allmans, and that is Derek Trucks.
Absolutely.
I'm a huge Derek Trucks guy. I know you are too, because of the six reactions I was able to find that you did to him. One of them was your own footage from his concert.
Yes, I went to a Tedeschi Trucks concert 2 years in a row. They just played the same venue at the end of the summer, at the end of August, 2 years in a row. If they come back again this August, I'll probably go back. I mean, I enjoyed it both times immensely. So if they come back again at the end of August, I'll probably go back. But yeah, same venue in Bridgeport, Connecticut, 2 years in a row, and yeah, it was fantastic. And the second time I went, I actually did some recording and reacted to it on the channel.
That's a really cool reaction. It's a you don't see, it's a very unique thing that you don't see from reactors. So it's a if you like Craig's reactions and you like Derek Trucks, man, check it out for sure. And along with that, you also did five other songs and some great stuff. Just really cool stuff. Gravity, Midnight in Harlem, which are two of his biggest tunes and best
Midnight in
tunes.
Harlem is my favorite Tedeschi Trucks song.
Midnight Harlem is so good. It is, if you want to hear blues slide guitar at its peak, check that one out, man. He just cooks it, man. He just absolutely cooks it. Um, there's him doing whipping post with. I mean, you have the Tedeschi Trucks version. There's him playing it with the Allman Brothers when he's younger, with the Derek Trucks band when he's in between those ages. There's him playing. Man, some of the like you want to see something crazy? Look up like an 11-year-old Derek Trucks just wailing on Layla.
Yeah, well, he also was like, I think he was in his early teens with the Almonds too.
I saw him in his teens with the Almonds. I saw him I think it was at Hershey, but I saw him as a teen with the Almonds. I saw him as a teen with a band called not many people saw this band, Colonel Bruce and the Fiji Mariners.
I know Colonel Bruce.
Yeah,
I don't know
Colonel
if I know
Bruce.
the Fiji Mariners though.
Not many people do. They were Colonel Bruce. You reacted to Colonel Bruce and the Aquarium Rescue Unit, which is where most people know Colonel Bruce from.
Yes,
And that was a band that spawned a little side note here. That band spawned three of the best jam band musicians of the next 30, 40 years. Jimmy Herring, who's now been the lead guitar player in Widespread Panic for the last 20 years or so. The bass player in that band was a guy named Oteil Burbridge, who played the last 20 years or so with the Allman Brothers until they retired and then moved over to the Dead and Company and is still playing with them. And he has his own solo projects as well, like Jimmy Herring does actually too. And then the drummer was a guy who goes by the nickname Apartment Q238, who is the drummer for Warren Haynes' band Government Mule.
awesome. Yeah, Warren
So
Haynes. Because I've seen the Allman Brothers quite a bit.
Hmm.
I saw them with Warren Haynes as part of the band. I saw them with Derek Trucks as part of the band. I saw them with neither one of them. I saw with like Dickie Betts.
Oh
Never
yeah.
saw Dwayne. Dwayne was too before my time,
Yes.
obviously. But I saw them probably 6, 7 times, probably maybe five or six times in that range, somewhere around there. And yeah, and that was just a great show. And unfortunately, they're almost all gone, right?
Yeah, they well, yes. The anybody from the original Almonds is pretty. I don't want to say for sure because I might be forgetting somebody,
Is the
but
drummer
certainly the
Butch, Derek Truck's uncle, Butch?
yep, Butch is gone. Greg Allman, obviously. Dwayne Allman, obviously. I mean, he died at 20.
Dickie Betts is gone too.
That was fairly recent in the last couple of years. And Dickie was a volatile man, and he had a lot of ups and downs in his life. But that dude could play guitar. I saw Dickie Betts' solo band at a local club in Lancaster called the Chameleon, and it was as good as any of the Allman Brothers shows I saw. It was spectacular, a little more jazzy than the Allmans, which I love and but still very bluesy and a lot of Allman Brothers tunes along with it. And Dickie's the one that wrote "In Memory of Elizabeth Reed," which is the most jazzy Allman Brothers song of all time. Um, and just everybody that played guitar for them was top notch. Jimmy Herring had a little bit of a run with, and Jimmy Herring's one of my favorite guitar players of all time. Just didn't make the top 10, but he was close for me. And he played with them for a bit. I saw them a ton with Warren Haynes. I saw the Dickie Betts Warren Haynes combo, I think 3 times. I saw Derek Trucks and Warren Haynes once. I saw Jimmy Herring and Warren Haynes once, and who the heck was playing with them the last couple times I saw him? I'm blanking, but it was always Warren Haynes. I saw every time I saw the Almonds, Warren Haynes was there, and I love Warren too. But check this out. So the Colonel Bruce and the Fiji Mariners was Colonel Bruce's band after the Aquarium Rescue Unit, and he basically told all those guys I mentioned, "Go do your own thing. We've done it. We've done the thing. You guys are now ready to go. Go find your way in the world." And boy, did they! And Colonel Bruce started all over again with another young musician, and this time Derek Trucks when he was a teenager. And I saw this band at something called the Smoky Mountain Jam when my sister was at the University of Tennessee during the Peyton Manning era. um, and it was that, what a weird, crazy show this was. It was them, the Violent Femmes, the Blister in the Sun band,
Okay. Okay.
and then the headliner was Widespread Panic back when their original guitar player, Michael Hauser, was still alive. It was quite a show. Quite a show.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Wow. I did want to ask you one more thing.
Sure.
If he ever picked up on it, and I don't know how he does this because I don't hear it really with anybody else. Um, the best way I could describe it is there's certain times in songs where he stops or whatever, and when he picks back up, the beginning, the first note sounds like a growl almost.
Oh,
And
yes.
he does that a lot.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a very Truck signature sort of thing. And he is killer at it. It is the when I talk like when you talk about guitar tone, um, there are certain people that jump off the page at you. Santana,
Yeah,
Santana the second you hear him play one note. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There are the Santana's always the guy that comes to mind. Derek Trucks is another one, and that growl is a big part of it, man. Yeah, he is. That's a perfect description of it, and I'm a huge fan of that sound. And there's a term in guitar playing called phrasing. It's the way you space your notes, and he has some of the best phrasing of any guitar player I've ever heard in my life. There are guys who have the ability to play crazy fast. There's a guitar out there. Guitar aficionados will know the name Michael Angelo Batio, who at one point I believe was in the Guinness Book of World Records as the fastest living guitar player. And Michelangelo Batio can play a million notes a minute. But he does, and he's very good. I'm not taking anything away from Michelangelo Batio, but he doesn't have the phrasing of some of the guys that made our list, or he would have made our list because he has the chops to hang with anybody that ever lived. And Derek Trucks has some of the great, for my taste, has some of the best phrasing in the history of guitar playing, and it's part of it is that growl.
yeah. I just never heard anybody really do that. Not or if I have, not as often or as prominent as him, where I really picked up on it.
Yeah, Dwayne had it too. Dwayne had it to a certain extent, but didn't use it the same way that Derek did, and not as frequently. Um, and Dwayne died when he was 24 years old. Like Derek, like a lot of people are going to be like, dude, how can you say Derek Trucks is better than Dwayne Allman? Well, I'll tell you this, because he's had 23 more years of playing guitar than Dwayne Allman got. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think we even mentioned this, or maybe it was in the uh, recording that we're not going to, that we didn't, we had the technical problems. But either way, it's worth mentioning again. The fact that would be is if Dwayne Allman didn't pass away so young and lived another 30 years, 40 years, he'd be on this list and he'd be right near, probably towards the top, if not at the top.
He'd probably be two or one, and Derek Trucks would still be trying to catch him.
Yeah,
Because if he
agreed.
was still alive, he would have been. I mean, oh man, like the legacy he left, the amount of recording he did. He was a session musician. He played on Aretha Franklin records, for crying out loud.
Jeez.
Yeah, like that would be a fun thing to do sometime. Is to go through some of the. Maybe I'll have you react one of these days to some of the non-Allman Brothers Dwayne Allman stuff. I mean, he played on some just incredible stuff. Aretha, I can't, I don't know the other stuff off the top of my head, but just some like just a list of things that you're like, what, he played with them too? Like what, you know?
Right, right, right.
He's the guy that plays the slide guitar at the end of the original Layla, the Derek and the Dominoes, aka Eric Clapton song. Yeah, that's him at the end. The part they use during Goodfellas when they're collecting all the bodies.
Yep, yep. Yeah.
That's Dwayne, you know. And this guy died at 24 years old. You know, he's younger than any of the other deaths that we talked about on this list, and by a decent chunk, you know. And it's just a sad one. And yeah, he would have left. He left quite a legacy at 24. I can't even imagine if he had gotten 20, 30, 40 more years.
All
So
right.
I just want to throw two quotes at you about
Yep.
Derek, and then we can move on to our honorable mentions. Uh, One is from Trey Anastasio, another guy who I really wanted to put on this list, but I was gonna do one pure jam bander, and that was Jerry Garcia. So Trey said about Derek, when Derek came along, I loved his playing so much, I almost wanted to write him a thank you note. He made me believe in the guitar as a serious instrument again, and he affected the way I play. I'm playing better because of Derek Trucks. That's a pretty heavy statement from one of the greats.
That really is. And I love Fish too. And Trey, you're right. He could have been on this list.
Yeah, easily. I mean, you know, there's a really good case, and by the time, whenever, you know, hopefully a long, long, long time from now, whenever he does pass away, he'll have gotten more time on this earth than Jerry Garcia. He's about the same age as Jerry when he died now. So there's a really good chance when it's all said and done, Trey and we do this list again in 20 years, that Trey takes Jerry's spot or even better. You know what I mean?
Yep. Who's the other guitarist in is it Frusciante?
Or who are we talking about? In John
Is he
Frusciante, the guy, the Red Hot Chili Peppers guy?
Red Hot Chili, not Fish, Red Hot Chili Peppers, yes. He's another one that I almost put on the honorable mentions that I probably should have.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he's like the Red Hot Chili Peppers are a great band with him and a decent band without him. He makes that big of a difference.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, continue.
Absolutely. Now, the next quote is from the aforementioned Colonel Bruce Hampton, who is legendary for discovering young musicians. Now, Derek Trucks had the Allman Brothers connection, so it's not like he really needed to be discovered, probably. But here was Colonel Bruce's thoughts on having seen him for the first time. I first heard him when he was 9 years old. The guitar was about a foot taller than he was. He started playing, and me and O'Teal is O'Teal Burbridge, the bass player I mentioned that was in the Aquarium Rescue Unit, the Allman Brothers, and Phil and Dead and Company. He started playing, and me and O'Teal we couldn't breathe. We went, "What the fuck is that?" It was about the second time I'd ever cried hearing somebody play, and it was just hypnotizing. It was otherworldly. He was as good then as he is now, I think.
Couldn't agree more.
And that's insane to say somebody was as good as at 9 as they are at. I mean, Colonel Bruce passed away 3 or 4 years ago, so he was as good as he was at 9 as he was. Derek Trucks was at about 40 or so. And that's wild to even think. And I'm sure he's using a little bit of hyperbole there because Derek Trucks has definitely improved. But what a thing to say on seeing somebody for the first time. I love it. So yeah, so that's a fascinating pair of twos for us, man. Very few people are going to have them at that spot. You're Gary Moore and my Derek Trucks on the list, but I think they're both absolutely reasonable and justified
Yeah, yeah. This is all subjective, obviously.
for
Um,
sure.
Real quick, let's just go through our lists. Um, at 10, I had Joe Bonamassa. Who'd you have?
Okay, let me get to my sorry, wrong page here. Bear with me just a
Yeah, I
sec.
just kind of sprung that on you. Sorry.
No, all good, all good. Okay, so my number 10 was Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Okay, awesome. Number 9 for me was BB King.
and mine was Richie Blackmore.
Jeff Beck was my number 8.
Frank Zappa was mine.
Brian May was my number 7.
Jerry Garcia was mine.
Eddie Van Halen was number 6.
David Gilmour for me.
Jimmy Page was my number 5.
Only John Roth for me. Speaking of people that aren't on other people's lists.
That's awesome, though. I don't. Oh, number 4 for me was Clapton,
Oh, nice. And for me, it was Steve Vai.
right? Okay, and then my number 3 was the same as yours, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
And my number 3 was your number 6, Eddie Van Halen.
Okay, and number 2 was obviously Gary Moore, and yours was Derek Trucks. So
Boom.
let's get to some other names here, just real quick. We want to mention. We already talked about Dwayne Allman, who's on my honorable mentions. I do want to mention Chuck Berry.
Oh, absolutely. He's one of mine for sure.
Yeah, I've got a few, so I'm going to just kind of rip through them. Chuck Berry, just he's very influential. He kind of invented or brought along more of like the modern guitar playing. He was like one of the first ones to really do that.
Huge. I mean, one of the most influential guitar players of all time, and that's not even close to an overstatement.
Yep. Okay, so I also had Santana on here. We talked about him a lot, about
He's
his
on mine too. I'm a massive guy. That was one that was very hard to keep off the top 10.
yep, in just a unique sound, and as soon as he starts playing, you know it's him.
100%.
I also have Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits.
Same.
We do we know also Prince.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the thing is with Prince, he was so good on so many instruments. You could put him on a top 10 list of almost any instrument, and it'd be justified because he played like something like 16.
He's ridiculous. He's also one of the greatest stage performers of all time. The guy made moves while he was playing guitar that I would break a hip trying to do while not playing an instrument. And my buddy Keith and I were watching the singer in Snap Squatch. We're watching a video the other night that I wanted to mention for anybody that wants to see the greatness of Prince that isn't fully aware already. Everybody knows, well, anybody that knows anything about Prince should already be aware of the "While My Guitar Gently Weeps" at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's legendary. I mean, it's unbelievable. But here's
Oh,
something to check out.
yeah,
And
go
maybe
ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm this is one I might have you react to at some point, Craig. He had a band starting in the 90s and into the 2000s that featured Larry Graham on bass, who was the bass player in Sly and the Family Stone, and the guy who invented, or who knows who invented it, but the first recorded slap bass was Larry Graham. He's an all-time great bassist, and if we do top 10 bass players, he's on it for sure. Um, uh, so he had him as his bass player, and he had Maceo Parker on sax, who was the guy that James Brown is going blow Maceo blow on some of the old James Brown tunes. He was in James Brown's band and became a solo artist along the way. And two of the all-time greats at their instruments. Well, there's one. It's not Larry Graham on bass in this video. He must not have been on this tour. But Prince, they play a song called "Pass the Peas," which was a Maceo Parker tune. Prince is on guitar. Maceo takes a solo, Prince takes a guitar solo, and then the band starts hitting this sort of funk groove. The lights go off. Prince comes back with a bass around his neck and takes a 5 minute long bass solo.
Jeez. Well, I said he played 16 instruments. According to MrPopCulture.com, if you want to visit that site, go ahead. But according to him, to that site, Prince played 27 instruments.
He's a maniac, man. I mean, that guy was something special. He really was. He really was. My only
Wow.
regret with Prince is that he started in the synth era of the '80s, where he didn't play as much guitar on the recordings early on. I wish he that some of that stuff was in the more organic instrument era of the '60s and '70s. But you got to hear plenty of it live as his career progressed, so it's okay.
Yep, yep. All right. Who else? Oh, Alex Lifeson from
Oh,
Rush.
so glad you put him on the list. That's a huge one for me. Big Rush guy.
Randy Rhoads from Quiet Riot.
Oh, another guy who died. Randy Rhoads, I believe, and I'm going to double check this while you say whatever you want to
Yeah,
say about him.
he was young. He was a early death. I think he only
I,
was
I,
on.
I believe he was 24, like Dwayne Allman. I'm going to make sure about that.
All right, Randy Rhoads. Yeah, Quiet Riot is a band I have not really reacted to too much. I should probably. I think he was only on one album, maybe two, and I should probably go back to Randy Rhoads' era, Quiet Riot, and react to a couple songs because I really don't know much about them at all.
That
At all in any
that's a
way.
great idea, and also the first two Ozzy solo albums are just his shining pinnacle. Um,
Right,
and
that's what I should react to
Yeah, because
even more so.
that's the better stuff. And listen, I won't argue with you reacting to anything Randy Rhoads ever did, but where he really shines is on those Ozzy albums. And by the way, he was 25, crazy young.
Yeah. Okay. Albert King. I think we mentioned when we talked about BB King. Um, Similar kind of style, but just as influential. I tell a story a lot that I heard that he's kind of a ornery kind of guy, and he does not heap out a lot of praise. But he loved Stevie Ray Vaughan. They played a lot together, and that he said he was deeply affected when Stevie passed, and that really bothered him.
Yeah, he was one of the entries into the blues for me, and he is one of my all-time favorite blues guys for sure. His song "The Sky Is Crying" is one of the greatest blues songs of all time. Stevie Ray Vaughan did an incredible version of it that we talked about when we did when I brought up Stevie as my number 10. Um, and yeah, Albert was a curmudgeon and a wonderful guy. And the other fact about Albert that is fascinating is that he played his guitar strings upside down.
Yeah, you mentioned. Yeah, that's right. You said
So
that in the first recording that we had.
yeah, man. So when most people are bending their skinny E string, they're pushing it up the guitar. When he's doing it, he's pulling it down. So when people try to do Albert King, it's impossible to do it exactly like Albert because nobody else does it. There's a lot of people think Jimi Hendrix did that. They did not. He did not. He played a lefty guitar turned upside down, but he strung it like everybody else. Albert King actually did.
He also had a good relationship with Gary Moore as well. There's a couple of recordings with him as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. He had very good taste.
Yes. All right. I also have Billy Gibbons on here.
Oh, absolutely one of my favorites. Absolutely, just
Saw them. Had a chance to see them live as well.
they're coming to my local the American Music Theater, which is about 7 minutes from my house in a couple months. And even though the bass player's passed, I think I'm going to go see him anyway.
Yep. Yeah. I think could be your last chance. You never know when these guys might get sick or just the fact that they're just so old, just retire. And Billy Gibbons is getting up there. So if you got a chance, I think now would be a great time.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do it. I have to.
It was a great show. Also, I have Jeff Healy on here.
I love Jeff Healy. I didn't put him on the list. I kind of regret it now that you brought him up. But wow, wow, spectacular player.
Yep, I love the guitar on his lap And of course, Roadhouse. It's really what.
Yes, yes, absolutely, man. And talk about playing guitar away nobody ever played it. Like Albert King did the upside down strings. Nobody played a guitar on their lap. If you see a guitar on a lap, it's usually what's called a lap steel guitar, which they play with a slide bar.
Yeah, is
Nobody
that the
else.
same as the pedal steel?
The difference is the lap and the pedal. It's the exact same guitar. It's played the same way with your hands, but a lap doesn't have pedals, whereas a pedal steel does, and that's on the feet underneath the guitar. It allows the player to change the tuning of the guitar on the fly.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
All right. So yeah, you had Frank Zappa already. We talked about Derek Trucks already. We talked about Dickie Betts already, and Richie Blackmore. Um, let's see here. Oh well, I have Slash on here.
me too. Absolutely.
You know, you can't. I think you can't really get this deep down on the list and not have Slash on there.
No, and talk about recognizable guitar tones. Another guy.
Yep. The guy who Joe Satriani, which I think I mentioned during the Steve I when you had him on the list, and I talked about that a little bit. And we know all about Satriani, don't we?
Another guy that was on my list too, and absolutely, I think we won't get into the whole thing because I'm pretty sure we talked about him being Steve Vai's guitar teacher when we brought up Steve Vai.
Yes. And last on my list here that we have not talked about yet is Joe Perry.
Eh,
That's it.
Another one that made my list, and I love Joe Perry. And you are the Joe Perry man, and I am not far behind you because I think the world of that guy. What great solos that guy plays, man.
Yep. And the rumors are still swirling now. Since our last recording, they had that the back to the beginning uh, Ozzy Osbourne show, and Steven Tyler performed there, and his voice sounded okay. So there's rumors that they're going to do a farewell show. Kind of, I guess you would say it would be similar to the Ozzy show, but Aerosmith might get back together for one more time, one more show.
Beautiful. That's great. It would that's so cool because it would just stink if they never did it again. And after that, coming off that Ozzy thing, I mean, he sounded good. So let's go. That's awesome. Good for
Yeah.
him. Okay, so I have an insane amount. So we'll make this quick. I separated them into categories, and the first one is just unique, hard to even categorize. I had Mark Knopfler in that category. I don't know where you put him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, Another one that most people won't know is Jan Ackerman. Jan Ackerman was the guitar player in a band called Focus, who had the song Hocus Pocus with the yodeling. If you ever heard that one.
I've reacted to that one.
Oh, I had you react to that one, I think, didn't I?
Maybe I don't
I'm
know. I don't remember who had me react to, but I did, and I was blown away.
He's incredible, and he was a big influence on Uli John Roth, and he was an early trailblazer. On that video, you see him do what's called sweep picking, which a lot of people think didn't happen until like the Van Halens and the Steve Vais in the late '70s, early '80s. But he did it on that video in. There's some various accounts of when that video is from, but it's either 71 or 73. Either way, it's 5 to 7 years before you start hearing sweep picking with any kind of regularity. He was a true trailblazer, and if he wasn't from one of the Nordic countries, he'd be a lot better known. Um, Awesome guy. The next two that I put in the unique category are the two guys from my favorite era of King Crimson, and that's Robert Fripp and Adrian Belew. And they couldn't be more different as guitar players. Robert Fripp is one of the most technically proficient guitar players of all time. If I could have the right hand technique of any electric guitar player that ever played, it might be Robert Fripp. It probably would be. And he's a technical master. He's a king of playing in time signatures that are not 4/4. Don't try and dance to King Crimson. You'll hurt something. um, and Adrian Belew is like an alien. He does guitar. He's one of the all-time greats with the whammy bar. He does things no other guitar player can even mimic because you don't even know what he's doing. He has a guitar player in a Talking Heads song where it sounds like a computer. And one of these days, I'm going to have you react to it because I consider it one of the most unique guitar solos of all time. So those two guys had to be on my list. Moving to prog rock, you had Alex Lifeson, and I want to add Steve Howe from Yes into that, who's another one of my all-time favorites.
Yes, I did a couple Yes songs as well.
He's an absolute beast. And Then we'll go to what I call the OG rock greats, which you covered a lot of these guys already, so we can skip a ton of them. But I want to add Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. Rolling Stones are not my favorite band of all time, but they, even having said that, they still have like 20 songs that I like. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And Richards, while he's not going to blow anybody away with his guitar solos, has some tasty solos, and he's an all-time riff master. Joe Walsh, who I'm a
Yep.
huge fan of, and his combination of the James Gang solo career and the Eagles stuff is just undeniable. And then Leslie West from Mountain,
Oh
who
yeah, I should have put him on there. My goodness, I love Leslie West. I've done not a lot, but I've done a few reactions to him, and he always was real impressed. So I should have put him on mine as well.
I'm a big fan of his. One of the saddest things for me, selfishly, and for him, for sure, is I was supposed to see him twice. Once it got canceled because he lost a leg to diabetes, which was just super sad. And then he kept touring. After about a year, he got back to touring, and then I was supposed to see him again, and then he passed away. And just so sad that we lost him relatively early, and just what a beast, and another guy with tone for days. Just Les Paul and Marshall cranked to the gills, and I love him dearly. Moving on to the beautiful orchestration category, which I made up myself, which there's only three guys I include in that category. We talked about Brian May on your list. I had David Gilmour on mine, and the other one is George Harrison.
Right, right. And George Harrison, should be mentioned in any list like this as well.
No doubt. And then the Blues, the only guy that you didn't, two guys that you didn't already mention, there are the three kings in blues: Albert, Beebe, and Freddie King. Freddie died way too young, but he has one of my favorite blues songs of all time called "Going Down," and his tone is super distinct, bridge pickup, ice pick sort of tone, and it is wonderful. And he's an absolute beast. If he had lived longer, he'd be on everybody's list. And the other one is Buddy Guy, who was a real trailblazer too.
Oh yeah, Buddy Guy for sure, definitely. He's still around and kicking, isn't he?
He is, and I've seen him, I think, 3 or 4 times, and he puts on a show, man. I saw him at a place called the Keswick Theater just outside of Philly in the '90s. He started playing a guitar solo on stage. He had a wireless on, so he walked up the center aisle of the venue, looking at everybody, taking his time, walked right out the back of the performing area, out the doors, the entrance to the place, started walking up and down the sidewalk, playing his solo, came back in. The solo had to be pushing 10 minutes long, just destroying it the whole time. And he walked right back up the aisle, back up on stage, finished the solo, and went about with the show.
That's fantastic. I think one of the newer artists that I reacted to, I think it's Ali Venable. I'm not entirely sure, but I think she's got some work with Buddy Guy in a song that people were telling me that I got to react to when I did my first Ali Venable reaction. I think it's her. They
She's
said to
great. I've
make sure,
watched your reactions to her.
yeah, to make sure to check out her song with Buddy Guy. So I should definitely do that.
That would be a great one, man. Yeah, because Buddy's really, I mean, the other thing about Buddy that I want to say real quick is Hendrix is given credit for bringing the wah wah into rock and roll. And in large part, that's correct. But Buddy Guy was doing it and doing it in the blues before that, before him, before Clapton, before any of the rock guys. He was ripping it up with a wah wah pedal, using distortion and making crazy freaking sounds before anybody. And so he was a true trailblazer, absolutely deserving of honorable mention, if not the list itself. Now, moving on to metal, I want to mention two bands, and one has three guitar players, the other has two, and we're just going to lump them all in. Iron Maiden's crew of Dave Murray, Adrian Smith, and Yannick Guerrero, I think is how you say it. I'm never quite sure how to say his name. But those three guys, Dave Murray's been in the entire run of Maiden. Adrian Smith and Yannick have both been in for most of it. And they have some just epically orchestrated solos in the metal world. That's why I don't include them in the beautiful orchestration because they're more of the dark orchestration. But just epic stuff, man. Just all three are great in their own right, and then they're just like super, Voltron. They're like Voltron when they combine forces, man. It's just beautiful. And the other band is Judas Priest with the combo of Glenn Tipton and KK Downing. And there's a song called Painkiller by Judas Priest that if I was going to introduce the aliens to heavy metal, that would be the song. And it has one of the greatest guitar solos you'll ever hear, combined between harmonizing and then solos, just straight up solos by Tipton and Downing. And it's just wonderful, wonderful stuff.
All right, that's another one I should probably do. Painkiller.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And when you do it, do not do the video. Almost everybody does the video when they react, and it is a nightmare of strobe light and epileptic seizure inducing just hideousness. Just please do the song if you ever do it. I know you're big on doing just songs anyway, and I love you for that. I have
Yeah,
to not I can't watch the people when they react to this song. It's awful.
yeah. Sometimes I get frustrated, and again, I don't want to ever criticize anybody who's reacting because I know how hard it is, especially if you're doing everything yourself like I do. Because some of these reactors have like people that edit for them. Um,
Oh.
yeah, but anyway, it is a little frustrating sometimes when they do a music video and they're paying more attention to the video than the song.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of that comes from their recommendations they're getting as well. So I can't blame the reactor for that. But boy, this is one where if I see they react into the video, I can't even watch it because it's just too much strobe light. Okay, moving on from the metal guys. And I'll start making this even quicker now. You wanted me to throw some jazz and jazz fusion guys in there because I eliminated them from my this whole discussion. So I want to hit some guys there. In the fusion realm, you got John McLaughlin, John Schofield. I had the reason I didn't have Jeff Beck in my top 10, people that are wondering, is because I had him as a jazz guy. It's legit either way.
Yep.
It's cool for Craig to have it in. It's cool for me not. He was a jazz guy for me. He'd be at or near the top if I was including him. Another one is Alan Holdsworth, who a lot of people can. If you just Google who's the greatest guitar player of all time, he comes up. Al Di Meola. And then more traditional jazz, you have Joe Pass, Wes Montgomery, Pat Metheny, and a guy that is just insane that he's able to be on this list, and he's in a lot of people's top tens, and that's Django Reinhardt, who had no BS, had a thumb and his first and second finger, and that's it.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah, yep, yep. I keep saying things like you mentioned it, but you mentioned it in the part that people aren't going to hear because it got cut uh, when we had the technical problems. But yes, I remember you saying that about his fingers, and I think that's when I brought up also Jerry Garcia also had part of his finger uh, not all there. Right? He had like three and a half, 4.5 fingers.
Exactly, and the thing that makes Django even crazier is that Django's missing fingers were on his fretboard hand. Jerry's was on his pick hand.
Yes.
So there is no other guitar player on this list that was missing one complete finger, let alone two, on their fretboard hand. Tony Iommi got two fingertips chopped off, and that's as close as it gets. It's insane, and he's the all time king of what's called known as gypsy jazz. And he died a long time ago. I think in the 30s or 40s. I think the 30s. And there's still something in Europe every year called Django Fest, where thousands of people flock to wherever the location is and play gypsy jazz together. So he left a big mark.
Oh, that's
Um,
fantastic.
yeah, cool stuff. Cool stuff. Now, moving on to what I call the shredders, we got Sean Lane, who I had you react to, who's just absolutely insane. He died at 40 or 41 years old, and if he had lived, he'd be in my top 10 guaranteed. Guthrie Govan, who a lot of people, a lot of my guitar teaching friends, and a lot of other people consider to be the greatest living guitar player. And I have a hard time arguing with it when you hear him play. Um, John Petrucci from Dream Theater, who is an absolute monster, one of the fastest guitar players ever, who also has taste. Um, and Yngwie Malmsteen, who I referenced a lot during the course of our top 10, talking about other guitar players. Yngwie is absolutely insane. He's one of the forerunners of the what they call the neoclassical style of shred, and he has a quote that because he used 50 Marshall cabinets when he plays live. Now the joke of it is he's only running like two or three of them, and the rest is for show. But they asked him why he does that, and he said because when the aliens come to Earth, I want the first thing they see to be my guitar rig.
Wow, that's awesome.
So Ingve's unbelievable. There's the shredders. In the hard rock category, I had two guys. You already mentioned Slash, and the other one is Michael Schenker, who is another one of my personal favorites and just an all-time great. He was in UFO and the Scorpions in the 70s, and then he had the Michael Schenker group for a long time, and now he's just Michael Schenker. And there's a great clip of him jamming on an old show from the early 2000s called That Metal Show that was on VH1 Classic. He was jamming with Kirk Hammett from Metallica, and they're improvising and just trading licks. And Kirk Hammett's a very good guitar player, an excellent guitar player, and Schenker dusts him. And Kirk talks about how he dusts him and how he loved it. So, okay. And then my last category is jam bands. And we already mentioned Trey Anastasio. You talked about Dickie Betts, and we talked about Dwayne Allman and Warren Haynes, and both of them are on my honorable mentions. And then the last one is Jimmy Herring, who I also talked about a decent amount during this list. And Jimmy is the guitar. If I could take guitar lessons from one living guitar player, it would be Jimmy Herring because I think he's the most well-rounded guitar player in rock and roll.
That's fantastic. That's high praise. That's great.
It really is, and I think the world of him. And his solo band is ridiculous. If you ever get a chance to see that him with Widespread Panic, and I think that covers it. Finally, I had 51 honorable mentions, and there we go.
Wow. All right. Well, if you're paying any attention at all, especially to the lists and everything, and if you've been with us this entire time, there's one notable name that we have not talked about yet, and it's obvious who the number one is. This was a very difficult list to put together, but this guy being on the list was not hard at all, and that, of course, is Jimi Hendrix. Both of our number ones.
Absolutely, my man. And like you said, this was the only easy part of this list. He was my number one before I even started the list, and then I just filled it out from there.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, I'm trying to get a little bit of the information that I had on him because of course, this was last week that I had this all ready to go, and
Oh,
I
I
just
get it, man.
I got to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
back to it. So if you want to go ahead.
You got it. So Jimmy, here's the crazy thing about Jimmy being number one on our list. I mean, there's first of all, the guy died when he was 27 years old. So our number one guitar player only had a professional career of about 6 or 7 years, and a lot of that was playing with the Isley Brothers and other old school R&B acts on what they called the Chitlin circuit back in the day, which was the black club circuit that ran from the south through the south and mostly the southern states and up a little bit into the northeast. Um, he cut his teeth. He also played in the army band for a little bit while he was in the army. And then everybody knows him from the Jimi Hendrix Experience. He had our number one guitar player of all time only had 3 studio albums. He had Are You Experienced, Axis Bold as Love, and Electric Ladyland, which thank goodness that those 3 exist because they are left an indelible mark on rock and roll history. He also, the one that most people don't know, or unless they're big Hendrix fans, is the Band of Gypsies. That's the band he was starting, that he had just started a little bit before he passed. And they have a live album called Band of Gypsies Live at the Fillmore East from January 1st, 1970. And the Band of Gypsies was Billy Cox on bass, of course, Jimi Hendrix, and then Buddy Miles on drums. And Buddy Miles is one of my personal favorite drummers. He's one of the greatest drummer singer combos of all time. And he did a live album with Santana a year later, actually. That is one of my favorite live albums by anybody ever. And it's an awesome album. And just this Band of Gypsies live, if you want to hear why everybody goes crazy about Jimi Hendrix, you can start right there. The Machine Gun from that album, Power to Love, We Gotta Live Together are just monstrous, absolutely monstrous. And I mean, you can just go through almost every song on every Jimmy album that's there and say great solo, great solo, great solo. But those are that album is just incredible. It shows you how great he was live. The Woodstock performance, of course, is legendary. I won't listen to any guitar. I refuse to listen to any. I will never do it. You couldn't pay me. And well, there's probably a number I'd have to accept, but nobody's going to offer it to me, so I don't have to worry about it. But you would have to pay me a lot of money to get me to play the national anthem live, because Jimi Hendrix did it, and that was that for me. You're never going to be better than Jimi Hendrix doing the national anthem at Woodstock.
I agree. I agree. Did you know that he was born Johnny Allen Hendrix?
I did not.
Yeah, his real name's Johnny Allen Hendrix, and then he changed it to James Marshall Hendrix, which of course James is Jimmy. Um, let's see here, a couple things. People have identified him as part of the English invasion in the late '60s, of all the musicians that came over from England, because he moved to England in 1966 when the basis of the Animals, Chas Chandler became his manager, and that's where he formed the Jimi Hendrix Experience. It was when he was with England, and he came back to the states I think he was only there for 2 years, maybe. Came back to the states, and he did a performance at the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967. Actually, late '67. I think that's when he came back. Um, and I got to say, and I mentioned this before, but again, that got cut, so I'll mention it now again. There's certain shows that I want to see live.
Oh,
Like if I could go back in time, I would want to go to Live Aid in '85.
yes.
I want to go to the original Woodstock, and I'd want to go to the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967. Janis Joplin was there too.
So it's an unbelievable lineup of just what's cool is you're intersecting the kind of as the folk era was peaking and starting to fade all at the same time, with the beginning of the real crazy rock and roll era with the Hendrixes and the Jefferson Airplane, I believe, was there. I'm looking it up right now. Um,
Yeah. Janis was discovered there actually. She was just with her band there.
Big Brother and the Holding Company.
Yes, that they were. It wasn't advertised with her. It just was Big Brother and the Holding Company, and she started singing, and nobody knew who she was.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. She was something else, man. She was special. They had Otis Redding set from that show is legendary. It's one of the ones that got captured on video, and it is unbelievable. Otis was died not long after that. Um, the Who were there. Simon and Garfunkel were there. The Mamas and the Papas, the Byrds. Ravi Shankar set from that show is legendary. He was dropping jaws from people that were dropping jaws themselves, like Janis and Hendrix. So, I mean, it's just absolutely just. I'm right there with you. It's an all timer, and I would just lose my mind to have been there.
Just some quotes here. This is from somebody in the Guitar Player magazine. He changed everything. What don't we owe to Jimi Hendrix?
That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, I'll give you two Jimmy quotes while we're doing them about Jimmy. One is from Steve Lukather from the band Toto, and if you don't know how good he is, check him out because he's a monster. Um, it was the aftershock of the Beatles changing the world. Then an alien came and landed on our planet to give those that understand the truth, and all that was before he was 27 years old.
Yep, part of the 27 Club, unfortunately.
Yep, man, it's a sad club. And then Uli, John Roth, my guy, said Jimmy was my most important influence, artistically speaking, when I was younger. I can't even begin to put in words how much I have learned and soaked up from that man. Of all the people in rock music, Jimmy was simply the most visionary and unique.
Yeah, I'm just reading all these quotes. I mean, it's just unbelievable praise, and obviously, uh, some of his technical achievements with the guitar and the things he was able to do. And yeah, it's been all this time, and he's still the number one.
Yeah, I mean, he did stuff with the whammy bar. Here's a little technical thing that we didn't talk about before that I think is kind of interesting, and for guitar people out there, they'll know this, and the people that don't might find it interesting. So when you talk about the whammy bar, right? there was an invention and an innovation on the guitar made in later in the 70s called the locking tremolo system. What that did was allow people to use their whammy bar without the guitar going out of tune. All right. It would hold its tune. It would let you take the guitar strings from as tight as they are when you're playing the guitar normally to completely loose spaghetti string slack and then right back and it stays in tune. All right. Now, you guess what Jimi Hendrix didn't have? A locking tremolo system. He did things on a Stratocaster with that whammy bar that should not have been possible. And he did it. He freaking did it. And he's still one of the greatest guys ever with the whammy bar. And he never had the advantage of a locking trem like everybody has had since 10 years after he died.
Wow. I'm reading even bands you wouldn't expect that him to have been a big influence on. He did. Like even a guy like Marilyn Manson says he was influenced by Hendrix.
Wow. Wow. Man, that's a trip. Yeah. I mean, that's a great call because another one, the band Muse, which is one of the better modern bands. I don't know a lot of their stuff, but every time I listen to them, their guitar player is just ripping it up. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
I
I
don't.
love their live performances are great. I've reacted to a bunch of their live performances, and it's just a big party. The people, the fans are insane at their concerts.
That's so cool, man. Yeah, that's a band I haven't dove deep enough, but every time I hear them, I'm really impressed. And Matt Bellamy, their lead guitar player, is one of the legion of major influence by Hendrix people. I'll give you a few others that I wrote down while we're talking about that: Lenny Kravitz, Kirk Hammett, Mike McCready from Pearl Jam, Lita Ford, one of the '80s metal shredder women who was awesome, who did a wonderful duet with Ozzy Osbourne, by the way. Billy Gibbons. Slash was so influenced by Hendrix and such a big fan that he volunteered to narrate the documentary that came out in 2010 about Jimi Hendrix called Jimi Hendrix the Guitar Hero. Uh, John Frusciante, who you mentioned from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, massive Hendrix devotee. Zach Wilde, Steve Vai, Stevie Ray Vaughan, who was so influenced by Jimi Hendrix that if you look at his first 3 or 4 years of his career, he was dressing like Jimi Hendrix.
Yes, yes, he was.
He became his own man eventually, but he was a straight up Hendrix clone for the first few years, man, you know? So, and understandably so. So, just a massive list of people that were
Well,
influenced by Jimmy.
I'm going to add to it: Randy Hansen, Uli John Roth, Ace Frehley, Brad Whitford from Aerosmith, Richie
Nice.
Faulkner, Joe Satriani, um, Yngwie Malmsteen.
That's my guy. That's a guy I keep talking about, the one that wanted his aliens to see his guitar rig.
He said Hendrix created modern electric guitar playing without question. He was the first. He started
Yes.
it all, and the rest is history.
Abso-freaking-lutely. And I would not, I don't know anybody that would dispute that.
Wow, yeah. I mean, there's just more, so many quotes and so many people. Oh yeah, Terry Kath from Chicago.
Oh, who is unbelievable.
Yeah, Hendrix. There's a rumor that Hendrix said that he was better than him, but now they're saying there's a debate on whether he actually said that or not. But regardless, Kath said. Uh, when then there's Hendrix, man. Jimmy was really the last cat to freak me out. Jimmy was Jimmy was playing all the stuff I had in my head. I couldn't believe it when I first heard him. No one can ever do what he did with a guitar. No one can even take his place. No one will ever take his place.
That's amazing. What a great quote. I hadn't heard that before. And there is for those who don't know how good that cat was, Terry Cathright is his name.
Yes.
There's a documentary about him, but all you have to do is just go listen to any Chicago song from the early to mid 70s.
Yeah,
That
and
dude,
I reacted to a few of those, and he's on there.
he is unbelievable. They became a pop ballad band in the 80s when Peter Cetera became the full-time lead singer. But back in the 70s when they were a real cooking jazz rock sort of band, that dude was on fire and tearing it up. And that's another guy, Kath, who died way too young.
Yep, should have been on our list, to be
Should have
honest.
been. Dang, that makes me mad. I didn't have him on there. I'm glad you brought him up so we could talk about him real quick.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. So, well, if there's nothing else, that's our list.
I think we did it, my man. I think we did it. That's pretty
All
cool.
right. Very, very cool, for sure. Um, I do want to mention for those of you who watch the reaction channel, the music reaction channel, my uncle joined me a couple weeks ago, and he will be joining me again this week.
Nice. Awesome.
Yes, Uncle
Uncle
Sal will be.
Sal.
Yes, he'll be with me, and so it'll be both of us reacting. We're going to do the same thing as we did last week or last time, where he's going to recommend a song, and we're going to listen to it that I have never heard of or never heard, and then I'll do the same for him. I'll give him a song he's never heard of, and we'll react to both of them.
I love it. Those are really fun. Uncle Sal's awesome. I want to jam with Uncle Sal really bad.
Yeah, he. I don't think he has his drum kit anymore, unfortunately.
So yes, that happens over the years. Eventually, we most of us hang it up at some point. But since I do it for a living, teaching, it keeps me active.
Right. Yeah, he actually had a song that was on the radio at one point, and his band had a pretty cool name in the '70s. It was called One Flight Up.
Was that the band that was on the radio?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was just local radio or whatever, but he got on there. And
That's
like I said, the band
awesome.
was One Flight Up. That's a great name.
That's a killer name, and I would love to have heard Uncle Sal jam.
Yeah, me too, because I never actually heard him. I know him all since I was like 12, but he was already done by then.
Right
He
on.
still had his drums then. He just never played them, and then he sold them eventually.
Oh, I love it, man. Well, I really enjoyed those reactions. It was what was it? It was ZZ Top and not ZZ Top, Leonard Skinner.
Yep, he had a Leonard Skinner song for me, and then I gave him a Joe Bonamassa
Oh,
Beth
with Beth
Hart
Hart.
song.
That's right. That's right. So I
Yeah,
can't wait to see what you guys pull out this time. That's going to be fun.
I got to think about it. To be honest, I haven't picked one yet.
Oh man, that's that. Wow. Yeah, I can't wait to see what you come up with because you have so much to pull from and you have great taste. So I'm sure it'll be awesome.
Yeah, but that's gonna do it, man.
All right. Well, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, we'll have to think about another music topic to hit a top 10 of one of these days.
Yeah, we definitely will revisit this. There's no doubt about it. We could do bands, we could do lead singers or frontmen.
We could do
Uh,
every instrument in the bands. We could do bass players, drummers, keyboard players, singers, like you said, entire
yeah,
bands. Yeah, totally, man. Totally.
so we will definitely hit it again. But we're also going to be starting to ramp up for some football.
Yes.
I talked to a buddy who's never been on the podcast before, Ty, who is a big football fan, and he agreed that he's going to come on.
All right. Now, I think I remember we talked about Ty on the pod several times over the years, haven't we?
Right. I think he gave one year. He gave his predictions, but wasn't actually on. But he gave me his predictions, and I think we talked about his predictions.
Right on. That must be what I'm thinking of because I remember that name
Right.
for sure, and I remember we brought him up in passing or something. So yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That'd be great.
And Jordan's dad, my best friend Joe, is also agreed to be on.
I get to meet the unicorn's dad.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I don't know when we're going to do this. I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know if we can have four people on, and if we do, it might just be too chaotic. To be honest,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
have
Well,
to.
maybe if I need to step out for one to get them on, whatever, it's all good because that'd be really cool. And who are their teams? Who are they fans of?
Oh, Joe is a Cowboys fan like me, and Ty is a Giants fan.
Okay, okay,
We're all NFC East.
that's awesome. Well, we better get Ty on early before he gets too sad.
Well, I want to give them. I want to give them predictions, and he's not sad. He's an eternal optimist. He thinks
No,
that they'll be fine.
of course I'm joking. I have the guitar player in Snap Squatch is a Giant fan, and I'm just used to heaping on him, so I just love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He heaped on me for the better part of the aughts and the tens, so now it's turnabout.
So yeah, we're gonna figure it out. We got to do our predictions. Obviously, I'll see if we can do four. But like I said, that's gonna be chaotic. Even if maybe somebody drops out during it, like afterwards,
Yeah,
we just
yeah.
give the prediction and then sign off, and give the next prediction and then sign off. Something
Yeah,
like
and
that.
you and I have been doing this long enough to know when to lay out. So, we can kind of give them the floor, and maybe we bring on Sal and then bring on Joe and do three at a time or whatever you want to do, man. We can make it work for sure. I would love that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, maybe we can do ours and then bring on Joe, and then do another one and bring on Ty, and we'll have topics to talk about regardless, and
That's
they can
perfect.
give their predictions. And rather than having four, we'll have three.
That's why your name's on the podcast, my friend. That's perfect.
But that's gonna do it, man. If you're good, I'm good.
I am good. I love it. This took a while to get done, and it was so much fun doing. Even redoing it was a blast. So this is great.
Are you still doing your pod, or are you guys on a break, or what's going on?
We are on indefinite hiatus. I think we'll revisit it again in the fall when his crazy busy season is over, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. But that podcast, which has a lot of episodes, anyways, you want to go back to, and that is on Soul Joel TV, and it's the Bring 'Em Out podcast.
Absolutely. And thank you as always for bringing it up. It's so much fun. If you like to laugh, go check it out.
Yes. All right, that's gonna do it. And until next time, I will see you later.